समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले. दिस इज द राइट टाइम.
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया.
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले. दिस इज द राइट टाइम.
अब समझा.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
So welcome to a fresh new episode of WorldView with Swasti. As you may have noticed that on 3rd September this year, which is just a few days ago, the Chinese exhibited, showed off their brand new weapons and in fact cutting edge weapons in their National Day parade. Now there are certain interesting things to observe. This is a parade that doesn't happen every year. In fact, last one happened in 2019. What was the purpose of having a parade in 2025? What was the optics behind it? You know, during rehearsals, we saw certain extra weapons being showcased, but they did not make it to the final rehearsal. Do we have to read something there? What about the geopolitical side? Of course, this particular parade happened in relation to their complicated history with Japan. Similarly, what was the purpose of this entire exercise? What was China trying to show? Do we have to take lessons? Because there is also now an understanding that China, and through the National Day Parade, through the weapons, the manner in which those weapons were showcased, it shows as if China has not only learned the military lessons from Russia-Ukraine war, from Iran-Israel war, but also Operation Sindoor. And they have learned and adopted those lessons. So in order to break these complicated things down, in order to understand what it should mean for Indian military preparedness and to understand the Chinese mind behind all the optics, I have Brigadier Anshuman Narang, who is no stranger to the WorldView. He has been here a couple of times earlier, and he is certainly not only a weapons expert, he is also a China watcher, and he also has this wonderful initiative called Atmanirbhar Soch, through which he educates now our veterans and the strategic community, especially on Chinese military preparedness. So welcome to the WorldView with Swasti Anshuman. What a great honor to have you back.
Thanks again.
So let's just start from the go. Why do you think the timing is so important?
See, if in a normal country, 75 years is more important than 70 or 80. When they have used this as a historical button to keep Japan pacifist, they don't want it to become aggressive anymore. So they did the 70th parade in 2015, and they didn't do the 75 one. In 75, Xi Jinping gave just a lecture, and the 80th. In between, they celebrated the 70 years of PRC's raising in 2019.
Okay.
So 2019 to 2025, there was no parade.
So if I get it rightly, so the last parade happened in 2019, and before that it happened in 2015.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now the goals ahead. What happens next? 2029 will be 80 years of the raising of PRC.
Yeah.
However, there's a very important goal in front. That's 2027.
Of course.
That's the raising 100 years of PLA.
Yeah.
So whether they could have held the parade, it could have been a long difference. So they wanted to showcase a lot of things. Maybe to teach Taiwan, to tell America and tell India, let's see where we are. The relationships have changed.
Yeah.
There is a seesaw. So keeping all that in view, 2025 was an important timeline to showcase before 2027 where they have reached. And as you pointed out, suddenly at the last moment, some of the weapons were not displayed, which means they're planning for the next one. So some of them, they'll show off either in 2027, sure enough in 2029.
Okay. All right. Now, before we go forward, of course, like we were earlier discussing and why we are having this WorldView episode is that Anshuman was quick to point out that what was showcased by the PLA or, on the 3rd of September was not just about weapons. It was about a very carefully segregated, put together 7 modules through which they showed their integration, jointness, and the rest. So let's just talk about that, Anshuman.
See, the biggest factor is in 2019 when they came off with the Science of Military Strategy. That's a document, like a Bible for the military. And they said multi-domain integrated joint operations will be the basic form of operations. This time, all the modules they displayed, if it was the land module, they had Army, the Navy showing their Marine Corps, the Air Force showing their Airborne Corps, and Army showing that they can conduct independent long-range strikes on their own without relying on rocket force. So a small rocket force model was on display within the Army. Then when they had the air defense module, again it had all. It had Army weapons from a combined arms brigade, right going up to the strategic ballistic missile defense assets.
Okay.
So in all the modules, aerial module, they had the Hepters from the Army, they had the early warning aircrafts, both from the Air Force and the Navy. So anything which they displayed had a mixture. The unmanned module started with the unmanned ground vehicles being shown.
Right.
Then the maritime module showing the maritime weapons, and then there was a aerial combat module. Then the information operations module, which they showed, had the cyberspace force. The ECM had some assets from the Army and some assets from the aerospace force. And then there was separate module which was purely information support force. So at every stage, they tried to show that they have tried to integrate. The US Army has gone about creating multi-domain task forces. They are talking about it. They've created 5 multi-domain task forces in the Indo-Pacific theater. They displayed it.
The Chinese displayed it.
By showing that this belongs to 75th Group Army, this belongs to Northern Theater Command Army, they are confirming that they have been inducted in various formations.
All right. So just in order to make the audiences understand, so could we just do a run through of what those 7 modules are one by one?
Okay, absolutely. See, the first module was the land operations module.
Okay.
Now, land operations module, they displayed 4 teams.
Okay.
The first team was the ground assault team. Now, the ground assault team had 2 combined arms brigades being displayed. One combined arms brigade was of 71st Group Army, which is opposing Taiwan, which is part of Eastern Theater Command. The second combined arms brigade was of 82nd Group Army, a heavy combined arms brigade of 82nd Group Army. And all those group armies, those combined arms brigades have trained in Western Theater Command. They have trained in an Indian scenario.
Right.
So they are saying we are prepared for both India and Taiwan scenario. They displayed new tanks and upgraded tanks.
Okay.
T-99A, they showed a T-99B. Then they showed the ZT-Z-100 tank and a support vehicle. And that's a new thing which is coming up. Rather than calling it an infantry fighting vehicle or an infantry combat vehicle, they are calling it a support vehicle, which can undertake counter-UAS operations, counter-drone operations, as well as support on ground.
Right.
The next part in the module was the amphibious assault module.
Okay.
Now that was put up by the PLA Navy, and that showed a whole set of wheeled amphibious vehicles. So all the existing vehicles which they had, wheeled ones which were good, that's the first time PLA Navy Marine Corps displayed the amphibious models of those wheeled vehicles. The third module was of the Airborne Corps.
Okay.
Now Airborne Corps kind of looks like a pet project of Xi Jinping. He had a military theory work conference in October 24. Immediately he visited PLA Air Force Airborne Corps. Now, why Marine Corps and Airborne Corps I'm emphasizing is their centenary goal by 2027 is to create strategic capabilities.
Yeah.
While they want to become the world-class army by 2049, by 2027 they want to ensure that their strategic capabilities are adequately catered for. So that's why the Marine Corps and the Airborne Corps. Now the Airborne Corps again displayed the latest set of airborne vehicles which can be used either by the Y-9 or the Y-20 strategic aircrafts, transport aircrafts.
Yeah.
The last module is very interesting in the ground section is where they showed the long-range strike capability. And if you read the Chinese Xinhua and the PLA Daily Vivo account, they clearly mentioned that those 16 PHL-191 models which were paraded belong to the 76th Group Army.
Okay.
76th Group Army is part of Western Theater Command and it is part of a long-range artillery brigade. So what has been in the news, they confirmed that brigade has been raised. Another important aspect is, which they mention, is that they have undergone tests in difficult conditions. So while there were a lot of rumors of test in March 25 in Xinjiang and Tibet high altitude, it confirmed and they tested. And they've tested the new missiles to be able to fire anything up to 500 kilometers. And they displayed those missiles on that PHL-191. So that was the ground assault module.
Right.
The next one was the maritime module.
Yeah.
Now, in the maritime module, they had three critical things. The shipborne air defense. Now, having learned the lessons from Ukraine and Iran-Israel war, they showed layers of air defense and counter-drone defense on board the ships. The four systems, HHQ-9C, from longer range getting to shorter range, then HHQ-16C, HQ-10A, and a LY-1 laser defense system. So if everything fails, the laser is also there. So they displayed the air defense. Then they displayed an anti-ship missile team. And again, the multi-domain aspects. A certain YJ-15, which can be launched by aircrafts. So naval aviation aircrafts can launch those YJ-15. Then they had submarine launch, and then they had shipborne launch. So 4 variety of anti-ship missiles which can be launched from various vectors. And then was the underwater weapons module. Now, in the underwater weapons module, which even Mr. Shekhar Gupta talked about, is the extra large underwater vehicle.
Yeah.
And then there is a lower series, a heavy large size underwater vehicle, which is the AJC-015.
Yeah.
And then they showed various torpedoes. They showed the various torpedoes, the light torpedo, the rocket, the assisted torpedo, and a heavy torpedo. So they were trying to show that whether it is underwater, on surface, or otherwise, they have the capability to handle variety of aspects.
Okay, now here I have a question, Anshuman, which is that, recently, if you remember, there was a lot of discussion in the Indo-Pacific domain about China unveiling its abilities, like the hybrid warfare abilities to sort of destabilize critical infrastructure, etc. Now, what part of that hybrid warfare capabilities can we also infer from what you just told me about the maritime module, etc., the amphibious module?
See, it doesn't come so much from the maritime module, but it comes from the information support module which comes.
Okay.
Now, the information support module which they showed had 3 components. One was the cyberspace component.
Right.
Now, not much is known, but a very interesting thing is when a cyberspace force module is being paraded, it is having drones on board. So this is something which is picked up from the Russia-Ukraine war.
Yeah.
That drones hacking your CCTV network in urban areas and being able to undertake cyber attacks first. Second was the ECM sword, or the electronic countermeasure sword. That is to deny the enemy the use of electromagnetic spectrum. So they had various parts in it. And the third was the information support module. Now, information support module is to ensure whatever enemy might do, whichever way he'll try and disrupt your communication, you are able to ensure you are able to speak to each other. That communication medium is. The next part was the strike module.
Okay.
Now, in the strike module, while the nuclear strikes as a separate part, which is a separate thing itself, they showed 2 sets. One is a cruise missile strike module. And in cruise missile, they showed air-launched cruise missiles. They showed surface-launched cruise missile, which is CJ-1000.
Yeah.
It's a significant jump. And some are even, some of the experts are saying it may even be a hypersonic SAM.
Okay.
So, generally cruise missiles, they are launched from surface to ship targets to land targets. They are saying it may be able to even handle air.
Yeah, so SAM is surface to air. Yeah.
So then was a hypersonic module. All the missiles from the various domains can be fired, and it had the hypersonic missile module. Now, in the hypersonic module, if you study the Iran-Israel war, when whatever amount they penetrated the Israeli air defense, that gold,
The Iron Dome.
and Iron Dome,
Yeah.
it was through hypersonic latest missiles. So China conveyed and showed that, see, we have these hypersonic missile modules. And then, of course, The two nuclear missile groups, teams,
Yeah.
are absolutely different. It's the first time any country has shown a nuclear triad. You are able to launch from air. They showed the H-6N bombers in the starting, which flew past, and then they showed the ALBM JL-1. So a combination. And then they showed JL-3, which is submarine-launched ballistic missile, and supposedly having a range of 10,000 kilometers.
Okay.
And the last part, of course, DF-5C with a range of 20,000 kilometers.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Which obviously, I mean, sort of, this is also signaling, very strong signaling to the United States, in fact, which is very, very obvious. Now, thanks, Anshuman, for breaking that down, because it is otherwise very complicated, and understanding it in modules sort of makes sense for all of us here. Now, just one thing. So far, you've mentioned the lessons that China learned and incorporated from the Russia-Ukraine war and also from the Iran-Israel war. What about the lessons from Operation Sindoor?
okay, very, excellent question and very important to understand. Now, there has been a lot of talk about HQ9 and J10C and what they shot down or not. We'll not get into that. But the point is, there were two models of HQ9 used by Pakistan.
Right.
The basic HQ9, which is they exported as HQ9P, that was inducted in the Pakistan Army. The second model was HQ9B, which was exported as HQ9BE and inducted by Pakistan Air Force.
Yeah, the export variant. Yeah.
Both the variants, whatever they would have done with the aircrafts, failed to stop a supersonic cruise missile, that's BrahMos.
Yeah.
So that's clear that no Pakistani, no American, no one can object, not even Chinese. The Chinese, since November 24, had started showing that HQ9 has limited ballistic missile defense. Now, when Global Times writes something, it of course exaggerates a lot. Chinese have that uncanny habit of exaggerating the unreal and hiding the real.
Yeah.
So that limited ballistic missile range. Now, it was proven that cruise missile, it can't do anything.
Yeah.
They have now shown HQ9C. And HQ9C, they have shown both the naval version, the HHQ9C, and the land-based launch HQ9C.
Okay.
So first. Then comes to be able to stop, they have...
So what is the difference between HQ9B that the Pakistanis had till now and the HQ9C and the HHQ9C that the Chinese have now displayed?
The first aspect, which, no one can confirm because there are no confirmed things. First aspect which will be is a developed software.
Okay.
Now, developed software means like the Americans did when during the Iran-Israel war, they fielded in the Al Udeid base in Qatar the best of the Patriot batteries, which had upgraded its softwares during the Russia-Ukraine war. Similarly, it's but obvious the HQ9C would have an upgraded software, whether against aircraft and missiles both, it will be upgraded. First aspect. Second is, while in 2024, HQ19 had started getting inducted. Now it is confirmed that HQ19 is fully there in that tier. And it's not only HQ19, they have graduated to HQ29, which is purely ballistic missile. So that exothermic, endospheric, so all that layers of ballistic missile defense, they are catering for.
Anshuman, why don't you tell, for the benefit of the viewers, what these layers are? Of course, you are a veteran. So
see, just to put it simply, there is a low altitude layer where the drones are fighting. So they displayed a complete team, a counter drone team, which will take care of hard kill and soft kill in the low altitude.
Right.
And all the Chinese theoretical writings have been talking about the concerns during the Russia-Ukraine war and even during Operation Sindoor when Pakistani drones were flying.
Yeah.
So they realized that handling the quantum of drones in low altitude is a challenge. So that's low altitude. Then comes the aerial defense, where the aircrafts are flying. And then comes the atmosphere, where the ballistic missiles cross the atmosphere and then re-enter the atmosphere.
Right.
So all those layers, a low altitude layer, then an air defense layer through HQ9 and HQ19, and then the ballistic missile defense with HQ19 and HQ29.
Right.
And what's more important is developing a multi-domain kill web. Now, what is kill web? You heard the Air Vice Marshal Aurangzeb of Pakistan Air Force screaming his throat out. Multi-domain operations and kill web. it requires detection of a target of any incoming threat. It requires confirmation and acquisition, and then tracking,
Okay.
and then engagement. So when the air defense module got displayed in this, the first thing they showed was the detection. And they showed 4 long range radars, and all 4 radars new generation, and which have very long range. So they are showing, and they have still not shown the space aspects. So they are saying wherever you launch, we will detect you quite fast.
Okay.
And that gets you to a more important aspect, which they were trying to prove, that we have launch on warning capabilities today. We'll detect you the fastest, and we'll be able to reply to you with a short second strike.
Right. So just before we go further, now here, remember we discussed at this point, and I also said it in my opening remarks, is that when they were rehearsing for this particular parade, there were certain capabilities that they showed, but they didn't make it to the final one. What those capabilities exactly are, or
See,
exactly those weapons?
One is, various, they were covering their weapons, and especially the unmanned drones and all were all covered. So no one could find out. Of course, a lot of experts were measuring the sizes on the satellite images, that what probably it could be. But like there is an air dominance unmanned fighter which was on display for a lot of rehearsals, but finally did not appear.
Okay.
There is a series of vehicle by ZB, Zulu Bravo, ZB, which just did not appear on the final day.
And what is that? What is that vehicle?
That's, very difficult to confirm what it is, but could be something more related with the information support force or something. It's clearly not known what were they trying to show and hide. Then the other aspect was in the counter drone systems, in addition to the high power microwave system, they showed till a thing called 4 series. The 5 series in that was not displayed.
Okay.
Sorry, the 6 series, 366, if I remember it correctly, that was the one not displayed.
Right.
However, during the rehearsals, you could see it covered.
Okay.
Another important aspect is the Shahid series drones. The Chinese have been talking, you have heard about the Shahid series drones being used by Iran against Israel,
Yeah, of course.
by Russia
Against Ukraine.
Ukraine modifying it as the Jiran drones,
Yeah,
Jiran
right.
1, 2, and 3. The Chinese claim that at 1/10 of cost, they have produced the PD2900.
Okay.
That was not on display.
Okay.
Now, those are the capabilities, probably 2027, because you have to show something every 2 years and to produce at such grade.
Okay. All right. Very interesting, Anshuman. And here I'm really tempted to ask. Now, what part of this scintillating display of military prowess, of course, this was supposed to be made into a statement in every which way. Now, the question that comes to somebody's mind who understands China, studies China, is that what part of this is coming from reverse engineering or experiences of reverse engineering from here and there? The US, Russians, Turkeys, whatever, NATO. And what part of it is genuine Chinese innovation?
Excellent. In 2015, when Xi Jinping gave his address and he came out with this made in China, he said we need to move from imitative innovation, that's soft way of saying reverse engineering, to true innovation.
Okay.
The first aspect is all the equipment displayed here in this parade, they claim, and it's very difficult to prove it otherwise, was 100% indigenous.
Yeah.
So any equipment which has been displayed in this parade was their own. It's not been imported from someone. First aspect. Second, they claim 60% is new. Now, if you go through the models, world over experts are trying to identify a replication. What, like for a ZTZ-100 tank, they say some features of the Armata have been copied. But it's not a completely reverse engineered model.
But that's with Chinese characteristics. So it's reverse engineering with Chinese
But
characteristics.
the point is, some of the models which they've come, you've not seen in any country.
Right.
So that's the industrial might which they are trying to show.
Yeah.
That firstly, Chinese have graduated from the reverse engineering aspect. Second, even if some amount is there, it is with much better characteristics. And third, some are absolutely new innovations. So that work they have done.
Now, well, thanks for laying that out. But also, the other thing that comes to someone's mind would be that how far behind are the Chinese now from the world's largest military superpower, that is the United States?
I will say that they are still not leading
Okay.
because all the weapons which they've shown,
Mhm.
none are battle tested.
Okay.
So
So the
that's
first thing is that they are not battle tested. Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Because now, like, even if you have to count HQ9,
Yeah.
HQ9 may have succeeded against something, but it
Yeah.
has failed against a cruise missile outright.
Okay.
None of the battles, neither Russia, nor Ukraine, nor Iran, nor Israel, have used the Chinese drones.
Yeah.
So, while American items have got used, Turkish items have got used, even in Operation Sindoor, Pakistan, except for something on their side, even they use Turkish drones more than
Of
the
course.
Chinese drones.
Yeah.
So, first part. Second is, while technology has been on display,
Mhm.
the major concerning aspect is doctrinal evolution and organizational structure.
Okay.
The Chinese are also wrapping up with how can they handle the multi-domain joint organizations.
Hmm.
The Western Theater Command structure by itself is extremely complex.
Hmm.
Then, to undertake a Taiwan-centric operation, they require a lot of capabilities to be able to put so many boots on ground on Taiwan.
Hmm.
You know, they may say they will pulverize it and do whatever. Even Israel against Hamas has to go on ground.
Yeah.
So they have to. So on those aspects, they are still behind, and that is what they are working on. But if you directly compare with
Hmm.
USA,
Mhm.
let's divide into clear stages.
Yeah.
First is nuclear.
Yeah.
Nuclear, the range and capabilities, the ballistic missile defense network is in place. They can identify. Yes, America is surely ahead on it.
Okay.
First. Second aspect comes is the space capability. Space, except for communication, which Starlink has a major lead, in my assessment, China in ELINT, in ISR has overtaken USA.
Okay.
And that we must grant it to them.
Okay.
Then comes the aerial domain. Now, in no case the Chinese H-6 bomber series matches what America has
Okay.
and what the Americans displayed during the Operation Midnight Hammer against Iran.
Basically, the B-2 bombers.
B-2
Yeah,
bombers.
yeah.
So that the Chinese have still not been able to match, and they're another bomber prototype of America, which is an on prototype, which is there. So they have not matched. Third comes in the land domain.
Okay.
Now, in land domain, the Chinese are advancing, but even the T-99 tanks failed when it had to reach Galwan in the Kailash range operation, and they themselves accept that there were problems.
Right.
So, yes, they are moving ahead, but there are concerns.
Okay.
Now comes to sea.
Okay.
Yes, it is expected that the Chinese by 2030 may have 40% more battleships than America.
Okay.
That's fine. The quantity will be there.
Mhm.
But quality, particularly submarines and others, they are lacking.
Okay.
So I will, if you have to rate it simply, we can say US is still leading,
Mhm.
but the gap between US and China
It's shrinking.
is shrinking.
Okay. Now, another very important question before, of course, I come to India and what should India be doing. Now, Anshuman, what really, when we see all this, right, getting played out, of course, China, we talk about it, China doesn't consider India a peer competitor. China, the only peer competitor they think is the United States. But having said that, when we see this kind of weapons display, okay, and the technological innovation and all of that you mentioned and described, how much of it is Pakistan to gain from this? Actually, in real terms.
See, Pakistan will be just going, and their chief Munir went there for that reason exactly.
Yeah, right.
So he was there to
Yeah.
look at that and look at what all they can gain from it.
Yeah.
But the point is, you be a Pakistani chief and
Mhm.
sit down in his shoes and realize
Mhm.
the drones have failed.
Mhm.
They did a repeated trials of Chinese drones which kept on failing, the high-end versions,
Mhm.
the CH-4, although they did induct, but then they have shifted to Turkish, Akinci and others.
Yeah, I can see. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Comes the tank aspect.
Mhm.
Now, on the tank, they wanted to induct the Armata or the T-90, but they could not. So they finally had to accept the Chinese BT-4. Now on the tanks, would the Chinese be ready to share the ZTZ-100? I doubt it.
Fine, but let's come to the BVR capabilities particularly, because that is what we have been looking at. Yeah.
Superb. J-10C is what they gave.
Yeah.
And J-10C, along with that came the PL-15.
Right.
That came when the Chinese had already graduated to the J-16s and J-20s and PL-17. So they are not giving them the same generation.
Right.
So don't expect J-35s to be given to them.
Okay.
Yes, at some stage, J-16s, J-16D, something may come up. Surely that will be on the anvil. Will they give the PL-17? Maybe.
Okay.
So that's which is in the possibility of may happen.
Yeah. No, I also asked this question because.
But more important
Yeah, sorry.
are the ballistic missiles and the hypersonic ones. Now, Pakistan tried its best. I mean, actually its best to hit something in India which it could speak of. It failed. So what Pakistan requires right now is to be able to penetrate the Indian air defense and the ballistic missile defense and hit some target.
Right. What about the submarines?
Submarines, there is already enough cooperation happening, and I don't think so Chinese are so good ahead that they will give something more.
Okay.
Unlikely.
All right. So, we expect a kind of a status quo when it comes to the
Yes, the status quo might get changed by two things. J-16s and J-20s, if given. J-20s is very difficult. Particularly the Chinese have now come up with the J-20S model which they displayed.
Okay.
J-16s have given, and the ultra long range air-to-air missiles.
Now, of course, with that, Anshuman, I have to come to this thing about how should India be looking at it?
See, undoubtedly, the technological gap with us has widened with this parade, and this parade is
exponentially widened. Yes,
it's widened, and we have to accept that.
Yeah.
There are clear indications they have given to India. By the, I'll give a small example. The counter drone, the anti-drone systems displayed were of a particular, as per Geneva, were of a particular brigade of 75th Group Army. 75th Group Army is in Yunnan, which is near to Myanmar, is in Southern Theatre Command, and is the one which can get applied. Now, the weapon which they deployed was Type 625, which can cater for air defense as well as counter-drone defense in a combined arms brigade.
Right.
Now, that is the one, most likely is the 32 Mountain Brigade, which has been deployed opposite India. I gave you example of 76th Group Army.
Yeah, you did.
So, by they have given hints to India, friends, we are absolutely prepared for you.
Right. And I think this is also interesting because this just comes so close at heels right after there was this huge hue and cry about how India is now embracing China. And that's why we keep mentioning that China is a long-term challenge and the current management is required, but it doesn't mean that we sort of stop worrying about what the Chinese mind is all about. And finally, Anshuman, your thoughts on what is the purpose of all this? I mean, putting everything together, right? I mean, you put the India factor, the Pakistan factor, the Europe factor, the wars, the lessons, the US. What would be your concluding remarks on what is the purpose behind all this?
See, they have displayed banners, flags that we are a peace-loving nation. So for peace-loving, they want to avoid a war.
Okay.
For that, the critical issue is full spectrum strategic deterrence.
Okay.
So every ladder, every step of that full spectrum strategic deterrence, from conventional to nuclear, cyber to space, everything has been on display.
Okay.
First aspect. Second is whether it's a Taiwan contingency or an Indian contingency. The formations which have been paraded have shown that we are prepared for both kind of eventualities.
Okay.
So that's there. The third aspect is a major lesson from Russia-Ukraine war. Russians are falling short and they're using the North Korean
of course.
army.
Yeah.
Was the use of the militia and reserves. In 2019, Xi Jinping was in a combat uniform.
Yeah.
And in 2025, he was wearing Mao style coat.
Yeah.
But on parade, were militia, and the militia squad fielded was complete a female militia squad. It had all women militias. The second aspect is reserves, and the reserves they called, and the new era militia and reserves, representing each part of industry. So they are saying 3-in-1 People's Armed Forces. So whether it is PLA, the People's Armed Police Force, Reserve, Militia are all being prepared to fight a battle together. Industrial might. That was at display. That, imagine from 2019 to 2025, except for DF-17 and one or few things, whatever got displayed in 2019 was not until 2025. It was absolutely new systems.
Exactly.
So 6
So
years.
just in about 6 years, they've made a quantum leap.
And they are saying and indicating that 2027, see, we paraded this, we did not show.
Okay.
So 2027, we are going to show you something more. So that's a deterrence. Then is the critical issue which their commentator kept on speaking is mechanization, informatization, and intelligentization.
Okay.
The complete variety, they showed you the mechanized platforms, they showed you the informatized platforms, and with the aerial autonomous drones which they displayed, the marine autonomous underwater vehicles they displayed, they showed we are intelligentized too. And right till the tactical level by showing those drones on board those new vehicles which they were inducting. They are showing we are future battle ready, 100% indigenous, and we will keep incorporating.
Right.
Now, this is the message which they are trying to convey. And last is, they have repeatedly said, is the future war will be by drones and robos. And we are completely prepared from the tactical structure. I mean, PLA is telling you that from the tactical level, counter drones there, till the strategic level, we are prepared for this air, missile, drones, rockets battle, which Iran-Israel fought, India-Pakistan fought. We are prepared. You undertake such strikes with us,
Right.
we are ready.
And I think also, in my opinion, just a little addition there is that I think Xi Jinping, by doing what he's doing, is also somewhere consolidating the fact that there is no substitute to him, because we keep hearing of all the internal challenges that the CCP is facing. So, of course, today we didn't discuss that.
He talked about immortality.
Yeah, he talked about immortality. So you can see कि Xi Jinping अमर होना चाहते हैं, और अमर होने के लिए, this parade was a good sneak peek into his immortality. But on that note, I have to thank you, Anshuman, once again for being so patient, so descriptive, and so brilliant with breaking all this down to us in a way that gives us a key takeaway of where the Chinese are going. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And you were watching Worldview with Swasti. Stay tuned for yet another episode.